Hi, in this session we are going to learn how do we access the elements of a vector using an iterator. Then we'll also learn how do we insert the elements in between the vector and how do we remove a specific elements from the vector, right? Now this is a program what we have stopped in the previous session wherein we have learned about how do we insert the element with the help of push underscore back, and then we had to access the element with the help of array indexing operator, right? Now the next way to access it is through iterator. Now what exactly is an iterator? Iterators are pointer like objects. Okay, now how do we declare an iterator to a vector? If you want to declare an iterator to a vector, we have to say vector of int. Remember, this again corresponds to whatever the type you have mentioned here. Co-precision operator, iterator, this entire thing forms the data type. Now to specify the object name. Okay, so this is how we create an iterator which are pointer like objects. After this, I want to make this iterator point to the beginning of an vector. It's like specifying to make it point to the base address of an array. Now if you want to do something very similar to this, we say it equal to, we say v dot begin. What do we say? V dot begin, right? Okay, now after this, if you want to access the elements, remember we can just use dereferencing operator, what we use it with a pointer. Let's quickly run this and try to observe, are we able to access the first element, right? I'll just try to say that accessing elements through vector. Right? Okay, now let me just try to compile this. Plus vector, run this, write the first element. Good. Now I want to make this iterator point to the second element. What can I do? I can make this iterator point to the second element by using the increment operator, it plus plus. Now after this, if I just try to do this, then you can observe that this will give me the second element because iterator is updated. Okay, now we learned how do we access the element and how do we make an iterator point in the next location. Now if I want to access all the elements through an iterator, then we need to run a loop. When you run a loop, we need to know how many times the loop should repeat. One way to do it is v dot size. Now we'll try to do it in another way also, wherein we'll initialize this iterator, the statement out here. This is my initialization, and this statement will be my updation part. Okay, now how many times the iterator should repeat? Okay, I can just write iterator not equal to v dot end. There is a function called as end which will return me the end address of a vector. So as long as the iterator is not reached to the end, I can just keep repeating the loop, and inside this I can just place this statement. So this will access all the elements of a vector. Right? Okay, now when you look at the ways through which we can access the elements, one is using the array indexing, the other one is through the iterators, and the other one is like for each loop what we used, okay, in the previous session, which is the C++11 feature, right? Now you might feel that, okay, this is the most toughest because the declaration of this is quite difficult, quite, okay, unique out here, right? Okay, but yes, in case you're working with C++11, I can simplify this particular section of declaration by using auto. But remember, when I use auto, it has to be initialized, right? I cannot leave this statement where I've used auto blank. Auto, okay, every variable where you're specified as auto has to be initialized, right? And that is C++11 construct. Okay, so let us try to initialize it out here. Okay, how do we initialize this section? We'll take it out here and we'll place it here. Done. So since we already initialized, we don't need to do it here. But please do remember, this auto is a C++ 11 feature, right? Done. Okay, right. Now, even after using auto, but still we have to use like begin, end, right? Now, the knowledge of vectors are very important, because whenever you want to insert an element in between the vectors, or if you want to remove a specific element from a vector, then iterators are very helpful, right? Without iterators, you will not be able to insert in between. Okay. Now, before we could insert in between, or we'll try to do inserting at the front. Okay. Now, after this statement, we know that iterator is pointing to the beginning. Now, if you want to insert an element at any specific location, we have v dot insert. The first argument will be an iterator, right? If this iterator is pointing to the beginning, the new element will be inserted, okay, at the place where the iterator is pointing to. Okay, but if the iterator is pointing to the fifth element, now the new element will be in the fifth position, right? Okay, now I'd like to insert, let's say 123. Okay, after insertion, again, if you want to traverse it, we can just use this and then traverse the code, and you can observe 123 will be inserted at the front, not at the rear, right? Okay, now let us say no, I don't want to insert in the beginning. I want to move this iterator 2 positions after this, right? Now this is pointing to my third element. Now 123 will be inserted as the third element here, okay, because begin will be pointing here, begin +1, begin +2, it is pointing at this place, right? 34, so it will be inserted after 12 and 23. After 23, this new element will be inserted. Let's try to get into this here, try to recompile it, and let's try to run this. Clear? So we can insert anywhere in between. Okay, now I want to remove the element, not the rear, somewhere in between some specific element. So again, whenever you want to delete a specific element, there is a function, or you can say method, called as erase, v dot erase. Okay, so erase again takes an argument which is an iterator. Okay, now let us say I want to delete a specific element. If you want to delete a specific element, I will ask the user to enter the key element. I'll just ask the user enter the element to delete. Enter the element, delete. Once the user enters the element to delete, remember, he is not entering the iterator, right? He's entering a normal variable. So I need to search for the element in the vector. If you want to search, we can use find. Again, we can use b dot begin, b dot end. We can pass on the key. Clear? Right. Now find will return me an iterator. I'll just use auto out here. Okay. After this, remember, the element can be found or it might not be found. If it is not found, it will be pointing to v dot end. It means element is not found, right? Okay, element not found. Okay, and otherwise element is found. If element is found, I want to remove that element. So okay, I'll just use v dot erase, and I'll be passing the iterator. This statement will remove the element, and after that I would like to traverse the elements of an array. I can use this, or I can use an iterator, or I can use a for each loop. Any one of it, you can just use it to access the elements. And remember, if you give any element which is existing in an array, that element will be deleted, right? Okay, now let's run this. So any element, whatever you want to search, you can search for this. Just write 45, right? But if you enter an element which is not existing, let us say 76, 76 is not existing, right? Since 76 is not existing, so if you can just see, element is not found, but none of the elements are removed. We had 5 elements here, we have the same 5 elements here. Clear? Okay, so we have learned how do we insert element in between with the help of insert method, and we also learned how do we search for an element with the help of find algorithm, and then we also learned how do we remove the element from a vector with the help of arrays. Fine, more details we'll try to look in the next. Thank you.